If you grew up in the 90s, there are things you remember that feel completely made up to everyone else. But to us, they were the best part of being a kid. From sprinting to rewind a VHS tape before Blockbuster fined you, to begging your parents for Gushers or that one Backstreet Boys CD, we lived through a time when everything felt a little louder, a little messier, and a whole lot more fun. No Wi-Fi, no streaming, just butterfly clips, cartoon marathons, and hoping your Tamagotchi didn't die during math class. So, if you're ready to relive the chaos, color, and low-tech joy of our favorite decade, stick around, because this is for every 90s kid who still remembers the sound of dial-up and misses it just a little. Rewinding VHS tapes. There was a golden rule in every 90s household.
VHS, the 4-hour system from Panasonic and other leading companies.
Do not return a tape to Blockbuster without rewinding it. If you do that, you are basically a criminal. Rewinding a VHS wasn't just part of the routine. It was the ritual before the magic. You'd slide the tape into the VCR, hear that soft mechanical whir, and watch the screen flash blue as the movie rolled backward. And if your family was extra fancy, you guys probably had a separate rewinder. You know, the one that looked like a tiny sports car. Sometimes you'd rewind just to rewatch your favorite scene, again and again. And other times, you'd forget and be forced to sit there, awkwardly rewinding in your head while everyone waited for the fun to start. But that hiss of tape spinning backwards, it meant anticipation for us. It meant the movie was about to begin again. Which brings us to the next favorite memory, Blockbuster nights. Blockbuster nights. What were Friday nights like for you in the 90s?
One near you.
Blockbuster Video. Wow, what a difference.
For many, they were sacred, not because of parties or TikTok trends, but because of Blockbuster. You'd walk through those automatic doors and be hit with that oddly specific smell. Plastic cases, candy, and carpet. The aisles felt endless. New releases up front, action and comedy tucked in the back. You'd wander around holding 3 tapes, knowing your parents would only say yes to one. And then came the moment of truth, flipping open the case to check if the tape was actually there. No disc, no stream, just a chunky rectangle with a sticker that said, "Be kind, rewind." If your family was really going all out, you got snacks from the candy aisle. Sour Patch Kids, Milk Duds, maybe even a bottle of Coke to share. And when you got home, blankets, popcorn, and whoever got to control the VCR had power. It wasn't just movie night, it was Blockbuster night, and it was perfect. Now, as much as we loved Friday nights, we loved one thing more: Tamagotchis. Tamagotchis. Owning a Tamagotchi in the 90s was like having a
The original virtual reality pen. Your care determines the pets you get from Bandai.
full-time job with zero pay and constant emotional damage. You fed it, you cleaned up after it, you watched it poop, eat, sleep, and if you forgot about it during recess, it died. These pixelated pets were the original attention seekers. They lived on our keychain, chirped at the worst possible moments, and somehow always needed something during math class. And if your teacher caught you sneaking a peek under the desk, straight to the confiscation drawer. We weren't just kids, we were digital parents, and every beep was a tiny panic attack. Did it evolve? Is it sick? Did I forget to pause it during lunch? And yet, we loved them. We bragged about how long ours stayed alive. We restarted them after every tragic funeral, like we hadn't just lost a pixel pet we named Bean. Tamagotchis were chaotic, demanding, and so very 90s. And if you weren't panicking over a hungry Tamagotchi, you were probably fighting for the best spot on the couch with your Game Boy in hand. Game Boy and cartridge blowing. There was no Wi-Fi.
I'm sorry, sir. Your flight's been delayed.
Cool. Game Boy by Nintendo. Have you had your fun today?
No cloud saves, just you, your Game Boy, and that one stubborn cartridge that refused to load on the first try. So what did we do? We blew into it, every single time. Even though science said it didn't help, every 90s kid knew you had to blow on it. It was a ritual, like casting a spell. Insert, eject, blow, reinsert, and pray. And once it worked, that green-tinted screen lit up with Tetris, Super Mario Land, or Pokemon Red, and everything felt right again. You played it at the back of the car, under your covers with a flashlight, or hidden inside your desk when the teacher wasn't looking. And if you had the see-through Game Boy Color, you were instantly cooler. It wasn't just a game console. It was our whole little world right in our hands. And when our thumbs finally got tired from button mashing on the Game Boy, we knew exactly what came next, because nothing hit like Saturday morning cartoons. Saturday morning cartoons. This was the holy grail of every 90s kid's week.
Sorry, Skeeter.
You'd roll out of bed in your oversized Looney Tunes pajamas, shuffle into the kitchen, pour yourself a mountain of Lucky Charms or Cinnamon Toast Crunch, and race to the TV. No streaming, no skipping intros. You watched what was on, and you loved it. Rugrats, Hey Arnold, Sailor Moon, the Powerpuff Girls, Doug, Recess. They were more than shows. They were events. The theme songs were basically our childhood anthems. You knew the lineup, you knew the commercial breaks, and you definitely knew not to touch that remote until the last cartoon ended. It wasn't just about entertainment, it was about tradition. That perfect mix of cereal, cartoons, and cozy pajamas made Saturday mornings feel like your time. And honestly, no weekend ever felt that magical again. If you happened to be a mini teenage girl or boy in the 90s, you know what happened next after the cartoons wrapped up? We grabbed the phone and called our best friend to talk about everything you just watched, and then some. Landline phones and cord twirls. Long before smartphones took over, this was how we stayed connected.
You're listening to the highest standard for telephone clarity, an AT&T phone.
A landline phone with a curly cord longer than your entire hallway. You drag it into your room for privacy, stretch the cord under the door, and lie on the floor with your legs in the air like every tween girl in a 90s movie. And if you had one of those clear plastic phones with the rainbow-colored wires, instant main character energy. No caller ID, no texts, just your voice, their voice, and a lot of, "No, you hang up first," until your mom picked up the kitchen phone and yelled, "I need to make a call." And of course, twirling the cord around your finger while talking to your crush, a classic 90s move. And if the landline wasn't busy with your bestie or your mom's gossip calls, it was probably tied up by the internet, which back then came with a full-blown concert. AOL dial-up.
How about sending your mom some nice flowers? All you do is click on Marketplace, we place an order.
Before Wi-Fi, before fiber, before even loading a web page without waiting 12 minutes, we had AOL dial-up. And if you remember that screech, ding, beep, bzzz symphony that came with logging on, congratulations! You survived the digital dark ages. You'd sit at the family computer, praying no one picked up the phone while it connected. Because if they did, you'd be disconnected, and you'd have to start over. And once you were finally online, you raced to AIM, updated your away message with moody lyrics, and hoped your crush saw that you were online. But not really. And let's not forget the magic words, "You've got mail." That robotic voice felt like a personal love letter. It was clunky. It was loud. It kicked you off every time someone needed to make a phone call, but somehow it felt like the future. Now, after battling with your AOL dial-up and dropping a chat room message for your crush, there was only one thing that could bring you back to Earth. Snack time. Snack time royalty.
Dunkaroos is the cookie you drunk for as much frosting as you want. So how do you do your Dunkaroo?
If you opened your lunchbox and saw Dunkaroos, you were royalty. End of story. 90s snacks weren't just tasty. They were chaotic, colorful, and absolutely yummy. Remember Gushers? Those little fruity bombs that exploded in your mouth like a science experiment? What about Fruit by the Foot? The 3 feet of sticky happiness you could wear as a bracelet. Could you even remember the rich, yummy taste of Capri Sun? I do. It's nothing like what it is today for sure. It was such a fun feeling squeezing the pouch anytime we emptied a Capri Sun back in the day. And then there were pizza Lunchables. Cold, questionable pizza that made you feel like a gourmet chef stacking shredded cheese on a cracker like you were on a cooking show. Let's not forget Cosmic Brownies, Pop-Tarts, and the unspoken rule: you never traded your best snack unless you were negotiating a serious friendship. These yummies weren't healthy, but it was so good, and honestly, we're still dreaming about that foil wrapper crunch. Of course, after snack time chaos and a sugar high that could power a small city, it was only a matter of time before someone whipped out a camera to capture the moment. But back then, that didn't mean selfies or filters. Disposable cameras.
There'll come a day when you can take your sweet time getting into your own photograph.
We're talking about the click, wind, snap days. Those cardboard cameras that lived in your backpack all summer. You'd bring them to birthday parties, school trips, or anywhere you might make a memory, whether it was a blurry group photo or an accidental shot of your own thumb. You never really knew what you got until you dropped the roll-off at the photo lab and waited for days. And when you finally picked up that envelope of prints, pure excitement, flipping through each one, laughing at the flash-blasted faces, the crooked angles, the surprises. There were no previews, no retakes, just one shot, and whatever happened, happened. And honestly, that unpredictability, it kind of made those memories feel even more real. But even though we obsessed over disposable cameras, especially in summertime, there was one thing we obsessed over even more: boy and girl bands. Boy-girl bands.
I want my baby back. I want my baby.
The 80s and 70s had their moments, but they can't deny the 90s was peak pop culture loyalty. You weren't just a fan, you picked a side. Backstreet Boys or NSYNC, there was no in-between. You memorized every lyric, recorded music videos off MTV's TRL, and practiced full-blown choreography in your bedroom like you were about to go on tour. And it wasn't just the boys. Spice Girls had every sleepover in a chokehold. We all knew who we were: sporty, baby, scary, ginger, or posh. And yes, we argued about it every time. Then came Destiny's Child, 98 Degrees, TLC, and even one-hit wonders like Dream. These weren't just songs, they were our personality. We burned CDs, carried them in massive binders, and had deep conversations about which band was the most iconic. Boy bands and girl groups weren't just music, they were life for us. And when you weren't dancing in your bedroom or belting out lyrics into a hairbrush microphone, you were out and about, headphones on, world off, living in your own personal concert. Walkman portable CD player. Before Spotify, your playlist was a literal binder of CDs, heavy, scratched, and packed with burned mixes labeled in Sharpie. You'd flip through plastic sleeves like you were DJing your whole personality. The Walkman was king, and when the Discman came along, you felt like you were holding the future in your hands, just as long as you didn't move. Because the second you jogged, bumped it, or even breathed too hard, the CD skipped. You mastered the art of walking flat-footed just to keep your Destiny's Child album playing without interruption. And when the batteries died mid-song, pure heartbreak. Still, pressing that chunky play button and hearing the satisfying click meant freedom. It was just you, your music, and a world that faded away the second the beat dropped. What was your favorite artist or group you never stopped listening to back then? If you're a girl, the Spice Girls are definitely on your list, no doubt, unless you had a whole different taste. And while your Walkman was clipped to your jeans and your CD binder was tucked under your arm, there was one more thing that completed the 90s kid look, especially if you were that girl who lived for glitter and lip smackers. Butterfly hair clips. Butterfly hair clips. These weren't just accessories, they were a full-blown aesthetic. Laid out neatly on your vanity or stuffed into a Lisa Frank pencil case, these little plastic butterflies came in every color. Pastel, glittery, neon, translucent, and they snapped into place with a satisfying little pop. You'd twist your hair into mini buns or braids, clip in half a dozen butterflies, and suddenly you felt like a backup dancer in a Britney Spears music video. Add in some mood rings, body glitter, and a touch of Lip Smacker's Dr. Pepper bomb, and you were ready to take on the world. Or at least them all. It wasn't about looking perfect. It was about feeling cute, confident, and unapologetically 90s. The truth is, we didn't realize it back then, but we were living through some of the most iconic, chaotic, and unforgettable moments in pop culture history. From rewinding tapes and decoding AIM away messages to choosing your favorite boy band and mastering the art of the butterfly clip, being a 90s kid wasn't just about stuff. It was about moments, tiny rituals, feelings that no upgrade or update could ever replace. So now it's your turn. What's the one thing from the 90s that instantly brings you back? Drop it in the comments. Let's fill this section with memories only 90s kids will understand. And if this video made you smile, made you feel seen, or made you miss your old Walkman just a little, there's plenty more where that came from. Welcome to the Cozy Rewind, your new favorite nostalgia corner.